Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is Saturday night at 7 p.m., which means it is time for a video. I'm going to do a quick refresh over here to be sure I am live. It still says waiting. I don't know. I think that's a new feature. It's a new feature for YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hand on the desktop, and when I see my hand, I will know that I am live because it wasn't there when I took the thumbnail. Right? Okay, maybe I'll do another refresh and see if we went live. No? Goodness gracious. Y'all, can you hear me? Okay, you see the picture, but you don't hear me, so we're not quite live yet. Well, it says I'm live. Let's go here. Come on. There we go. All right, now it looks like YouTube finally caught up. Not really sure why all of a sudden there's this huge delay, but there is. And it's, you know, I blame Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know if he has anything to do with it, but he's an easy scapegoat for me these days. All righty. So I hope y'all are having a good weekend so far. And I appreciate you spending part of it with me. So on whatever day the day was that I did the video, I don't know what day that was. Maybe it was Friday. Could have been Friday, when I gave you the preview of all of the new things that I did my pre-order for the online exclusives. I think most of you could have selected this group of dies and this bundle, the Golden Greenery bundle, is one of my very favorites, and you probably should have expected that I was going to use it first thing. I didn't want to. I wasn't going to. I was going to stick with annual stuff until we got a little closer, and then I just couldn't. So I had to make this. Now, I will tell you straight up, this is a sample right from, if you're a demonstrator, you may have seen this when you did your pre-order. You may have seen this sample as part of the samples online. But for customers, you won't have seen this yet, but you will see it come the 3rd of July when you're able to order it. So it uses a couple of different things. I broke some things up. The first I did, what I wanted to do was show you that this is a great set for all sorts of cards. It isn't just for Christmas, okay? So that was kind of the point. So the Everyday Greetings is a standalone stamp set with some wonderful, wonderful sentiments. It's got sympathy, it's got congratulations, it's got birthday and anniversary, and thank you. And I've used the thank you version. So this is Everyday Greetings. It's a standalone stamp set. I used the Greetings of the Season dies, which is the die set that has the labels in it. It goes with Greetings of the Season. Now, these two bundles are part of the Season of Green and Gold suite, which will be coming on the 3rd of July. All right. I used all of this bundle, but all I needed for my card today was the dies because I substituted holiday sentiments for thank you. Okay, so you can kind of see they're very, very similar. One's just aimed at holidays, and one is aimed at every day. Oh, thank you, Lenny. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's see, what else did I use? Oh, yes, we did use the greenery, and I have used the, I did use the Seasons of Green and Gold specialty paper on my envelope flap, but that was kind of it. What I used instead was the Graceful Greenery specialty vellum. I used quite a bit of it, okay? So you're fixing to see all of that. So let us, oh, and something you can get right now, and I assume you already have it because it's too wonderful not to have, is the Exposed Brick 3D embossing folder, okay? All right, so okay. All right, let's go and get started. It'll all be on my blog tomorrow. So there you go. All right, so we are using Basic Beige as our card base and as our card front. So I took a 4" by 5 1/4 piece of Basic Beige and embossed it in the Distressed Brick, Exposed Brick 3D embossing folder, and that's going to be our card front. I'm going to get this sentiment going. If you can see, can you see that you can see the words thank you? Right back there, very, very faintly. It's not something that really pops out at you, but you do realize it's there. You realize something is there, and you don't know what, and you think, I am going to look closer. And when you do, you see the words, thank you. Ah, hey, Rosie. Okay, I don't exactly know what is doing all the humming in the house all of a sudden. Maybe it's a train. I don't know. That's weird. Can you hear it? To make this background, what I'm doing is I'm taking the thank you from everyday greetings, and I am stamping a piece of basic beige cardstock, and I'm just using Versamark ink, okay? So you really aren't going to be able to see it very well, but your brain is going to know that it's there. That's just kind of how that works. All right, so I'm just covering it all. It's a little hard to see it. It's probably really hard for you to see it. But can you see how I've stamped all over that? Okay, I'm going to let this set for just a second. Versamark, by design, takes a little extra time to dry. It's a little thicker and it takes longer to dry, so you can sprinkle embossing powder on it and you have time to get a good adherence and be ready to heat emboss your images. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to get some tone on tone by stamping with the straight Versamark, and then I'm going to set that aside. Now, I did a lot of die cutting, okay, which is probably good because, hello, it's die cutting. It's just not that hard to do. But from the Graceful Greenery Specialty Vellum, I used the dies in the Golden Greenery set. Not that, this. These two dies right here were pivotal for my card today, all right? You can see that this little vellum was cut with that die, and this little vellum with this die. Well, if it's turned over, you can see that that is the die. So I cut a few of those from the printed sheets of the vellum, and then I used the this detailed die and this detailed die to cut several of the white vellum. Remember this one? This is one of my very favorites because you get some vellum effect, but it's got a frosted look to it, and that's very cool. So I cut three of these. One, not that one. 2 and 3. Now you can see this one was a little short because I got towards the edge of my paper. It doesn't matter. I'm going to end up trimming the stems on all of these anyway. And then my fourth one is this little die right here. All right, so we have a lot of foliage, and we're going to put a lot of foliage on our card front. All right, let me put these away because losing this would probably cause me to cry right now. Hey, Debbie, appreciate you coming. And Deb from Sarasota, I appreciate you coming, Deb. All right. Now, I've also made some peach pie and fresh freesia. And these are fun. You think you're going to miss it, but I'm going to do these same stamps on the inside of the card so you'll be able to see. These are two-step stamps, and I just used full strength for the first stamp and then stamped off once for the second, and you get these beautiful flowers, just easy peasy. It's very, very easy to line up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start lining everything up. Here we have this. And I already kind of know what it's gonna look like, but what I basically did is I took this and I made kind of like a base layer. Okay, so I just put these to really cover the bulk of the card front. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and start stipping stems. Yes, exactly. You are correct, Rocky. There was no way I was going to be able to wait. I just couldn't. As soon as I saw them, everything else was like, I can't. I just can't. I have to use these now. Let me trim these. These little stem doohickeys are just a pain when they're in your way, okay? Especially when you're trying to stack and collagify and stuff like that. All right. Okay, now, before I get too far, I'm going to use this die from Greetings of the Season, and I'm going to cut out the center portion of my sentiment, and I'm going to cut it from the panel that we just made, okay? So I'm going to be right back. What I'm doing, because I know I'm going to cover this center part, I'm kind of trying to make it so that you can still see words, okay? So I'm moving it around on here. And basically, I'm kind of looking for thank you right in the middle of that little, whatever that would be called. Swell. That's swell. That's swell right there. I'll be right back. I'm going to go off screen a couple of times on this card because I'm going to show you a thing or two. But I'm not going to show you because, you know, there's a limit. But I wanted this now so that I could use it kind of as a touch point for where I was going to put all of my foliage. All right. By having this, I know that this is kind of the center of my card, right? Now, let's just use the laws of symmetry here. I'm going to have one of each of these above and one of each of them below. And I'm probably going to put the peaches opposite each other. And I'm probably going to put the fresh freesia opposite themselves. And then we're going to have these guys. And I'm probably going to go something along the lines of this. I'm only doing this and acting like I don't know where I'm going to be with it. Because of course I do. Because we've done it, right? I've already made it. It would be silly to act like I haven't. So I'm not going to. But you kind of, this is one of those cases where you do it until your brain goes, yeah, there it is. Uh-huh. Yes, that's what I was looking for. The whole time, I didn't know that's what I wanted, but there it is. And then done. That's when you stop and you say, okay, we're good to go. Okay, so that looks like a good starting spot, right? Seems like a pretty good starting spot. Let's see how it looks if we put our sentiment on. Okay, I'm good with that, but I'm going to want to pull this out a little bit more. And probably this. Put him down like that. And then pull this guy out. Oh, hanging Chad. Hanging Chad. Okay, there. We want him to not be even, right? We want him to be uneven, like they are a bouquet or a floral arrangement, okay? So odd and uneven is the secret of the game. All right, and then this can come out like that. We'll pull this guy out a little bit. And go like so. Okay, that's pretty good. I think I like that pretty good. All right. Although actually, I really think I would prefer this guy under and this guy over, because he's already lighter. He's old olive, not not garden green. So he's already lighter, and I just don't want to have quite so much covering up all of my things here. So it's a bit of a finger trick here, because you're kind of having to play with all of the things, and they're kind of all moving. In actuality, you could probably adhere those clear ones down at this point, because you really know that that's pretty much where they're going to be. But I'm just kind of showing you what I really did when I built this card the first time. Okay, you're kind of seeing how the sausage was made. Have you ever seen how sausage is made? I think if you ever saw how sausage is made, you probably would never eat sausage again, I'm guessing. So I'm hoping that I'm not doing the same thing where you're going, oh yeah, this sweet is not for me. It's way, way, way too hard, Mary. It is not. It just looks hard. And let's see. Oh, Bonnie, yes, I won't be going live anymore on Facebook. The only time you'll see my videos on Facebook is when I upload. So all of the lives are on YouTube, and they're at 1 o'clock on Thursdays and 7 o'clock on Saturdays, Eastern time. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to kind of pick this up, and then I'm going to take a mental picture, and I'm also going to trim some ends, because they really do become kind of a pain in the butt. All right. All right, good. Okay, you could come off of there too. All right. So now that we kind of know where we're at, it's going to be like that. And then this guy down here is going to be like this. And then this guy over here is going to be like that. And then we're going to just get rid of our hanging chads that we just cut. And we'll just adhere these to the card front. Now, I will tell you, it'll make your life easier if you cut them a little bit even further. Okay? Yeah, you definitely need this set. This is kind of one of those like non-negotiables. This one, the tree, the frosted forest. There's really just no way to not have these. Now, something to remember when you're building your collage is, and if you want, you can just build it with your card front laying on your card base, because you can extend past the edge of your card front as long as you don't extend past the edge of your card base, right? And I actually kind of like to do that because I think it makes it look a little more collagified or a little more random, a little more natural, more organic. How about that? Not everything has to be inside the lines, regardless of what they taught you in school. You don't have to be inside the lines all the time. There's some lines you do need to be inside of, like the edges of your card base. That, I will say, is probably, well, it'll be self-critiquing. If you're not, you're going to go to put it in your envelope and be like, oh. And then you'll be doing some modification to your card. Yeah, you'll be doing a little bit of modification to your card. All right, so there's our base layer. That would be the crumb layer if we were decorating a cake. Haha, see how I used that term as if I could actually decorate a cake? But I know it. I know the term. I can't do it, but I know it. All right. Okie dokie. Patty, that's what Rosie said is accurate. Yay, thank you, Rosie. Okay, so now we're just going to start putting our foliage on. And I'm going to keep my sentiment here so that I can occasionally come back and cross-check what I'm doing, okay? Now I know I wanted these like so I'll just kind of keep them together like that. Keep your glue down towards the bottom for two reasons. First of all, if you do want to put glue up in the vellum, you need to try to keep it behind the printed part. But you can still see that. So use a little bit of common sense there and don't get too jiggy with it. All right, and then we're just going to kind of put that back. The glue's going to give me a few minutes to have a little grace, be able to move things around if I want. Another reason I am adamantly team glue, especially for building collages. The other reason to only use glue down near kind of the bottom is that lets the tops sort of pop up. Again, going with that organic look. Looks a little more like foliage and a little less like cardstock and vellum. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. It also could just be that I completely made that up. I don't know. All right, here we go. So I'm going to put this back so that I can make sure I'm putting things where I want them. And every time you build a collage like this, it's going to look a little different. I mean, that's kind of the joy of doing this, is it's fun to have it be a little different each time. I feel like if you, I'm going to go like this. I feel like if you were making a vase of flowers, unless you were working like for that, who's that FD something or other, you know, where you order online and they're all supposed to look exactly the same, right? That is how I feel like you don't want. But if you worked for them and they wanted you to make every single vase look the same, I guess that's what you would do, isn't it? All right, so that looks pretty good. Let me see if I like it still. I do like it still. So I'm going to let that set up a little bit. And while it does, I'm going to show you the sentiment. Now, straight up, this is not the easiest sentiment on the planet to cut, okay? Because if you will notice, every single die in the greetings of the season has a little hole tab on it. Okay, so every time you cut it, it's going to have that little hole. But you will see that I do not have that little hole. There is a technique to do that, and I'm going to show it to you. It's not hard. It's just something you have to think about and pay attention. I want you to get a piece of paper out and a notepad and some other thing like that and write this down. If you don't want to do what I'm fixing to show you, you have some options, because there's always options. If you want a dotted edge sentiment label, which I think you do, try Autumn Leaves. This die right here would work just fine. Okay, it's perfect for the sentiment and it looks good on the card base. Okay, so autumn leaves would be a suitable substitute. The next one that is also a suitable substitute is this die in Cheerful Daisies. All right. If you don't have either of those, you also can use the Labeled with Love punch or the die. Okay, so either one, you aren't gonna get the dots around the edges. Maybe it doesn't matter. In fact, I would go out on a limb and say it definitely doesn't matter. What matters is that you are able to stamp and cut out your white sentiment. Okie doke? Okay. All right? Okay. 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 Now, let me show you. In theory, I'm going to show you how this works. If it doesn't work, just know that sometimes it doesn't work and you have to, fix it. You have to fix it. Okay? What I am going to need is some white cardstock, which apparently I failed to get. Here we go. I found the piece. I found it. All right. So let me give you the gist of what's going to happen. We're going to stamp our sentiment. I'm going to do it on my paper here. Hi, Aniki. Appreciate you coming. Debbie, I'm glad you like it. I like a lot of them. Okay, so pretend that's stamped on cardstock. What I'm going to do is I am going to partially cut out the sentiment. So the way I would do that is I would put the sentiment die over like that with this edge where I wanted it on the sentiment, okay? Then I would roll it this direction through the die cutting machine to about here and stop. Then I'll take it out and I'm going to reposition it like this, and I'm going to lock the little locking teeth into the holes that were already cut. And then I'm going to run it through this way and cut to about here. So let me show you how that is. What that means is you want to make your cardstock so that you can run it in and out like this. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so I'm going to stamp my sentiment right there. And we're going to see if this works. Thanks, Laura Ann. I know what they're doing, don't you? They being SU. I do not know. What is the trick? Okay, so I'm going to stamp right here. Okay. Now, I have a little trick. You don't want to do this a bunch because it's really not great for your die, but it does ease the pain of doing this. So here's what I did. Let's see, let me think this through here, just a second. I went like that. Bring it back. So I'm putting this edge at the end of my sentiment. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cutting plate right here, okay? So I can run all the way through and it's not going to cut here because there's no cutting plate. That's why I said it's not great to do this like 100 times. You don't want to do this 100 times anyway. If you're going to make this card 100 times, use one of those other dies. I promise. Okay, this is just enough persnickety that you aren't going to want to do it 100 times. But you can do it like this without damaging your die. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and I'm going to run it through this way. I'm going to run it through this way, and I'll be right back so you can see the deal. You can see the dealio. Okay, so I didn't, can I do the sled set? Well, about the sled set. I ordered the stamp set, but I did not order the dies. I will have the dies here probably by Wednesday. All right, and so possibly next weekend I can do a sled card. How about that? That's about the best I can do because I was a dork. Okay, so I've just run it through just like that. I brought it right back the way it was. And you can see how it is done. And hopefully I haven't borked this up. Now you turn it around and you kind of wiggle it a little bit. Okay, so I've got this edge where I want it. And I've wiggled it enough that I can feel it should be in the little holes that were already cut. The little teeth are in the holes that were already cut. Okay? Here we go. Oh, Julie, I hope not. I don't think so. But yeah, I hope not, and I don't think so, and I also hope not. How about that? All right, so let's get those locked into their doohickey there. You know what? Let's give that little bend. Okay, there we go. Now, again, I'm going to, this is going to be on solid, and I'm going to go, see, it's like I said, it's not hard, it's just a little annoying to do it. And we'll see what I get here. Okay, so y'all hold your breath and think good thoughts, because if this doesn't work, I'm gonna stamp it again and use one of those other dies. Because sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you have to do it a couple of times to make it work. All right, well. So you can see what we got here, right? I didn't get it lined up perfectly. You get a little bit of offset, and it's up to you whether that works for you. For me, it doesn't work. I don't like it, and if I wasn't on a video, I would do it again. But I am on a video, so what I'm gonna do is I am going to grab the Cheerful Daisies die, and we're gonna use it, okay? But y'all saw the theory, and there you go. Julie, I think what they're trying to do is do what's overall best for the company. Yeah, Faith, that's right. Choose a different label. Absolutely. Okay, so hang on. I'm going to cut this out. I think that would have been my smarter thing, but I was going to be so cool and show you that cool technique. It was going to be awesome. Except for how it wasn't. Wouldn't that have been cool if it had been? If it had been like a weird aberration and worked the first time? Interestingly, the sample card, it did work the first time. And I was like, oh yeah, you can do that on camera. Oh, heck yeah. No. Yeah, taping it down might have helped. I just didn't have it locked up as good as I needed to. But anyway, I want you to, let's pretend I did that on purpose. I deliberately made it not work so that we could use this other die and you could see that it's just as pretty. Let's pretend that, shall we? Let's pretend that. All right, so Cheerful Daisies. Now, we're going to take some linen thread, because no card is complete without linen thread, even though you've seen me do that. Yes, sometimes it do and sometimes it don't. Now, my linen thread is down near the bottom of the spool, so it's very, very twisty-windy. All right, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with a pretty good tail out here. And I'm going to wrap it around my card front a few times. And by a few, I mean uno, y dos, which will give me 3 strands. And then I'm going to come back around so that I've got a tail with which to tie my bow. All right, so let's cut that like so. And then I did this really kind of odd little bow tie knot thing just to kind of hold it all in place. But I have to stop talking because apparently I can't tie that bow and talk. I just discovered I was not talking because I was tying the bow. And I'm just wrapping it around, sort of like I do my Christmas presents, which is why I use gift bags. This is just not my thing, man. It's just not my thing. It's not my jam. I don't do this good. I am a lot better at bows than I was when I started this little gig 8 years ago. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, so we've got these wrapped around, and here's why we did that, what we just did, okay? All right, are you ready? Okay, saw that? All right, okay. here we go. I'm going to put these two little ends together, and I'm going to stick them up through the back of that little hole right there. Okay. There we go. And then just let that do its thing, and then we're going to get some dimensionals out, and we're going to dimensionalize this little booger. This here little booger. And you can kind of open it like a little door. And then you can get some more dimensionals and hope you have a not edge piece, because edge pieces just annoy me. Oh, God. There we go. There's one that's not an edge piece. All right, here we go. And I'm going to put my dimensionals on my card front, because that's easier, I promise. Just sort of stay towards the center so you don't get out of bounds. And then you can always slide one in if you need to. Oh, thank you, Joy. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Okay, so I've got my dimensionals on. I'm going to pick those covers off. And I've got these guys. One doesn't want to come through there. So there we go. And then I'm going to stop worrying about my linen thread, and I'm going to center that up, straighten it up, and adhere it down. And then you can take these ends here and tie your bow. All right. And then you can play with the bow and make it all pretty and stuff as you get closer to being done. I'm going to put some dimensionals on my sentiment. Peel that off. Being persnickety recently. I'm not sure why. I think it's my nails. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Everything has become harder because I have nail polish on. Why? Why, I ask you. All right, so we're popping the sentiment over the sentiment on dimensionals. Straight. Straight would be good, Mary. Okay, there we go. And then somewhere I have some shimmer gems. I don't know where. Oh, yeah, here they are. Okay. And then we're going to put some of these. Oh, time to open a new pack. I'm almost out of my peach ones. My peach ones. I love these gems. Love them. They'll be back soon. Okay, so let me fix my bow because it is raggedy looking. Oof. That was not good. There we go. And we'll snip some snips. There we go. And then we're going to use our tweezers, and I'll use the last of these peach ones on this sheet. And we're just going to kind of put them around, okay? I like to keep them kind of tucked into the collage, like that. And we'll put that there, and then I'm going to use some little ones, and I'm actually going to put a little one on top of the leaf, and on top of that leaf. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously, I need a 7th. And we're going to go right there. I like it. I'm calling that good. I think that is a very beautiful card front, don't you? And that is going to be popped with dimensionals onto my card center. I can't enter it. Well, I really can't because I guess I could. But I don't think it fits anything this week. It's a beautiful card, but you know why it's a beautiful card? Because the Stampin' Up! Designers are amazing. And I totally copied this. Totally. I'm not saying that I wouldn't enter it if there was one that it fit, but if I happened to win that challenge, I'd feel a little guilty. I might go in HC, which is what we used to call it when you showed at a horse show, but you didn't want to be judged. You were just schooling your horse. Okay, so there's that. I love the tone-on-tone card front with the embossing to delineate the card front. Okay, all right. Now let me just show you right quick how I did the inside, and you can see I did not put a sentiment. I did not put a sentiment. Wrong card. Wrong card. I did not put a sentiment, but you certainly could if you wanted to. I just decided to leave it open and do some stamping with my, with these pretty bushes. They're bushes. I'm pretty sure they're bushes. All right. So I am going to use fresh freesia to start with. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. I'm going to stamp the first step in full strength fresh freesia, and in a fit of efficiency, I'm going to do my envelope as well. Okay. Golly, my efficiency is amazing. If I had an efficiency expert come, they'd be like, there's nothing we can do for you. And I would assume that that meant I was awesome. They might mean there's no hope, but I can take it however I want. Now, the second step, I'm just going to stamp off, and it lines up very easily. Remember, when you're doing 2 steps, always do your dark image first, because then you can see it through the stamp set. And you just take your time, line it up. And it's a little harder to do when you have a giant camera in your face and in the way. But there you go, that worked. See, even with the camera, it's pretty straightforward, pretty forgiving. And it's really pretty. I really like it. Hey, oh, come on now. Pay attention. Quit yak. What are you doing here? That was so not even close. So I'm like, what in the world? What in the world just happened right there? Okay, so there we go. And then the second one will be peach pie, peach pie, peach pie, with this straight first version. And I'm just gonna go get rid of that down here like that. And we'll do our envelope as well. Okay, I'm gonna wipe that off because I just feel like I'm gonna get ink everywhere right now. I feel it coming, people. I'm just saying. I feel like we are mere moments away from an ink catastrophe. All right, so then inking the second step in peach pie, stamp off once, and then do the time it takes. Take the time it takes, people, and line it up. You'll see it. When it's lined up, it is obviously lined up. Okay? It's very obvious. And so it's a very forgiving, I call it forgiving because you can see it. A lot of them, it's really hard to see, but this one has very distinct edges and good places that you can look at to line everything up. So there you go. All righto. Righto then. Righto. We're going to just adhere this to the inside of our card base with some liquid glue. What about putting a ribbon on the hole? Yep, you could do that. You mean like instead of, you mean instead of cutting a different, using a different die? Is that what you mean, Wendy? You could. I'd have to think that through a little bit. Yeah, I'd have to think that through. I actually thought about lining this to that way and putting it over the hole here and having the bow come through both pieces like it was a tag, but the asymmetry didn't make me happy, so I didn't do that. It's all about making yourself happy. If it makes you happy, you should do it. That's what I say. All right, because these are very, very flat and so pretty, I'm going to put one right. Nope, I'm putting it right there. There we go. Okay, so there's our card. Now, we also have some new DSP, and this is called Season of Green and Gold. And you can kind of see it's called that for a reason. It has gold foil embossed designs on one side. And these foliages cut out the same way that the vellum ones did. All right? And also, this is just in case you didn't see it on the sneak peek the other day. These bells, these two, the large bell and the small single bell, they cut out with the dies in the set as well. So these are like my favorite colors right here. We got your mossy meadow, your garden green, your old olive, your gold. I mean, what is not to love? It's perfect. And use this one use this one. I've used this one here. A lot of these, this one certainly, are very much not necessarily holiday. So you can really get a lot of, I think you could really get a lot of use out of this set when it comes out. All right, so I have chosen this one for my envelope flap, but I've lost my envelope flap. There it is. Because I liked it, I thought the white berries kind of matched with the white frosting on that vellum. And obviously the green foliage works. All right, and a little bit of liquid glue on the flap. And here we go. And the world's easiest fussy cut. I'd like to point out there was no fussy cutting done in this card with the exception of the envelope, and there's really, this is kind of like oxygen. You're going to do this unless you don't use any DSP and you stamp. I could have done that. If you didn't want to use DSP on this, you could absolutely stamp one of these again. Absolutely, no problem. But I had the DSP and I thought it was pretty, so I now have two very, very pretty thank you cards, I think. I appreciate you guys spending part of your weekend. Oh, a whopping 41 minutes. I'm sorry for the overtime, but I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope you figured out what I was trying to tell you with this. You can see, I don't see any problem with this die right here. So Cheerful Daisies, if you've got that one, Autumn Leaves, if you've got that one, either one of those would work in lieu of messing with that. Okay? So have a great rest of your weekend. I hope I'll see you next Thursday for the Thursday version of this. And I will get that sophisticated sled and I'll come up with a card for that for next week. Okay? Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.